I'm Wayne Tuttle, and welcome to Chasing Legends. Welcome back to Chasing Legends. I'm Wayne Tuttle, your host once again. Here we are, a nice sunny day in the Superstition Mountains themselves. Please hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, go to our About section, check out legendthesuperstitionmountains.com. We've got all kinds of archival footage and all kinds of stuff available there, as well as documents and the Jim Bark notes. That being said and done, we appreciate everybody for watching and all your comments and all that kind of stuff and everything. So this week we're going to get into something a lot different, because usually we stay away from the kind of more moral drama, or I don't know what you call the philosophical outlook. But today I wanted to talk a little about that. Recently we lost another Dutch hunter, a gentleman by the name of Dave Leach. Died out here, a rollover accident. Quite a shame. Dave was quite a big guy into the stone maps for a number of years, and we're going to miss Dave. And it made me put into a lot of reflection on a lot of the guys I miss. Tom Collenborn, Rick Gwynn, Dan Hopper, a number of different people. In fact, we did an awful lot of filming out here with Greg Davis, Rick Gwynn, Frank. We're at the side of the Burns Ranch out here just south of Peralta Road. Kind of a unique spot. We've done a number of videos and a number of Chasing Legends out here with Frank and myself. And Frank was unavailable today, but it was a good day to get out. Always a good day any day we're in the mountains. But it again gives us that moment of reflection. So a lot of times I come out, I'm not a real nostalgic person. I tell you a lot of these stories, and they come to me, and I talk about a lot of times I spent in the mountains, and then we talk about a lot of the history. But I love the history and so forth, but I'm not necessarily nostalgic about a lot of it. But I do miss my friends, and I miss all the times we spent out here, the campfires we shared, and I have those memories. And I always like to thank those guys and all these people I've spent time with in the mountains and around a campfire, like Rick Gwynn and Tom Collenborn, Dan Hopper, Bob Hopper, Dave Leach recently has passed away, Jim Hatt, just so many people, Ron Eagle, awesome guy, Dave Chase, Chief Running Mouth, if those who don't know Dave's name. But I miss all these guys. I miss the time we spent together and the time we shared around in the campfires and stuff. But I realize change is inevitable. I mean, we're born to die, basically. And so as time moves forward and moves on, everything changes. The desert out here, everything I've seen, I can say, is it positive change? Is it negative change? But change is inevitable. And the one thing that will remain here 100 years, 1,000 years, 5,000 years from now is the mountain. We'll all become dust eventually, and it'll all change over. But I look at reflective of, like, now we have the Peralta County Park. We have all the people that do their, what do they call them? Their travelogues. You know, they do the traveling around and film and video and stuff, and they pull over on the side of the roads and create mud holes. We look at all the litter, a lot of the stuff. I mean, I don't know if it's just people are not environmentally conscious. We look at it, and at a historical record over time, I just realize what a shame it is of how much we negatively impact everything. It's funny because people will say, oh, you're prospecting, you're mining, you cut trails, you bushwhack, a lot of the stuff the prospectors and miners did. But a lot of those places, once they remove them, you can't find much of a trace at all. But it's the everyday weekend warriors that sometimes cause the greatest and the worst impact to everything around us. And it's a shame, because we create change sometimes by thinking we need to be in the outdoors. Oh, this is great outdoors. We're bringing the RV and the quads, side-by-sides and everything. And we're creating ruts and places where drainage happens. They come out in the muddy weather, and they leave their trash too. And they create another fire ring. It's not only, it's not even one. You find a good camping spot, you find 5-6 fire rings usually. So, and it's not that I'm bitching, because I know change is inevitable. I see the change. 50 years of change I've watched. And the mountains aren't quite the same. You have the people jogging, hiking trails, and people that have to go from here to there. They have to ascend the mountain. They do their 100th anniversary of their 100th time up Siphon Draw into the Flatiron. And they make commemorative t-shirts for stuff, and they act like they're overcoming something or some obstacle, and great for them, but they miss the beauty and the change of what the impact we can have on the place. And there's a bit of a sadness. So I come out and everything changes. And I remember as a child, we'd come out here and have a campfire, and you'd look up and you'd see a billion stars. And yet the encroachment of the cities and the places where people live to the foothills of the mountains has taken out that. We don't have the dark sky effect we once had. So one of the things I always try to teach Trevor and Tyler and my daughter Sarah is the conservationism of always pick up some of the extra trash someone else left behind. Try to leave less footprints. Just try to take care of things, manage the land, because we're the only things that can. It's the animals, the plant life, everything around us, and what we can damage. And I've watched people damage so many things. And you have to be conscientious of it. Things will restore themselves once we're gone, obviously, because it'll wash itself clean of us. But it's a shame how not conscious we are of certain things. And repeatedly building new campfire rings, utilizing a spot that we realize it's too muddy, so just stay out of there. Don't create the ruts. I still to this day have not seen the particular challenge of some of the stuff people do and how they just wear and tear and destroy the environment. And not to say that I'm kind of this green guy or anything, but I watch it and the negative impact in it, and it's a shame. It's not off-trail hiking by no means, and because a lot of these old trails, I barely remember. You can barely see them. I mean, once a little bit of impact's gone, a good rainy season, it changes fast. Nature will take back over. But there is the rubber and a lot of stuff that just stays there forever, the glass. And it is a shame. I mean, and it really is. So we watch the change. I watch it, and I try to stay back. And I remember these people that were in the mountains and how much they embrace, and they look at the mountains, and I realize how much you have to kind of look back at the mountains of kind of through the eyes from like when I was 12 or 14 or 20, because those mountains were cleaner. There was less impact. There was a lot of people out here, but there just seemed to be so much less impact with the horses and the mules and the packing and stuff, because I think people cared. They respected the mountains more. And now people just kind of like, they just want to get in. I know there's people that just love to see everything paved up and sidewalks put in. And it is a shame, because the encroachment we takes away things that were once there that are gone. Bob Ward's cabin's gone. All that, the history, and someone just mentioned in the comments about Don Hensley's steps with the names engraved. It's gone. The mining claim posts and stuff were just pushed under. Saguaros that have been here for hundreds and hundreds of years for that impact, and they're not going to be, we're not going to ever see, there's not one of us ever going to see one of those saguaros come back. And we get told the lies of, oh no, they replanted most of these or did this or did that for the impact. But people keep forgetting that, oh yeah, it's nice to have this, but what was the cost of it? I mean, the coyote, the mountain lion, the mule deer out here, the bighorn sheep, they don't understand the fence lines. They don't understand the gates. They don't understand any of this stuff. I mean, you got to put yourself in their kind of mindset of they're looking around, the rattlesnakes, even just everything that's out here and alive in the desert. The birds probably like it because there's people leaving crumbs of food around. But it's just such a weird impact, and to watch it, and that people just don't understand of how negatively it affects us all. So the challenge for me always is trying to look at it and not be negative. Try to teach these young people. The Dons of Arizona have the Discovery Camp, and we try to teach them a bit about conservationism and taking care of things and understanding and respecting the things that are out here. Always that rule, if you find something really cool, ask yourself, should I take this, should I not? A lot of people, there was at one time in Garden Valley, which was known many, many years ago as Indian Valley, matates and manos laying everywhere, and just field of arrowheads and pottery. And so much of it's gone now because people just kept taking souvenirs, and they're all in front yards and people's houses and homes. And then they get pitched in dumpsters once they're gone, and these things just don't last. If we left them alone, they'd still be out there. And I could imagine a 5-10-year-old kid walking out and seeing all this stuff, the pottery and the arrowheads, and teaching them and being able just to show them, if we leave this be, that the next generation is still going to enjoy it and understand it. And I understand the temptation to take these things, but take a photograph, leave things be, leave the desert as it is. We should all be making that impact of like not leaving a trace of ourselves as much as possible, and trying to restore and fix what we can. And like I said, with the Dons of Arizona, they do the trash pickups and stuff and try to do some restoration and stuff. You have groups that work on the trails to try to keep people the trails and keep them from eroding to make things better. And you appreciate everything a lot of these people do, but we still, in our own idiocy, commit and do things. Someone was relating a story this morning, and I'm sure he watches the video, so Steve, thank you for this story, but they're four-wheel driving, and someone in the group was throwing beer cans out, and the guy behind them was stopping and picking them up and putting them in a trash bag, and finally they had to catch up to them and try to educate them. But who would think of that? Just, what nonsensical thing is going through your head? You're just throwing beer cans and trash out the window as you drive, four-wheel driving out in the desert. Why would it even enter into your mind that that's okay? It's, if it's an apple core and it's biodegradable or something, I understand a little better, but people just don't catch that sense of it. And I know this sounds like a little bit of I'm doing a Chasing Legends on a soapbox, but I think if we all reflect on it, we all make mistakes. We all screw it up. I've done mine and I've regretted it, and I've always tried to make that impact of clean up and do things and restore in the areas that are heavily impacted. There were camps that I found that were kind of off to the side brush, but they were more recent camps where people had just made fire rings for no intended purpose. I find no ash charcoal to them, and I would try to dismember them in those rocks just to take out that impact, because saying it was unnecessary. It was just someone messing around and changing the actual look of the environment. Carving names in trees. I mean, yeah, it's kind of cool to run into something from the 1920s or 30s, but at the same time, it's not a good thing. It's like, let's have less of an impact on that environment, and even in our own personal lives, wherever we go, the footprints we leave. So I think that's the message I wanted to tell today, because it kind of was sitting with me this week, because it was the memories of the friends I'd been with, the campfires, and how much we talked. And all these gentlemen would haul trash out, and we all would do that and try to make sure we were better stewards of the desert. So please, you see what we're doing out here, and I encourage everyone to get a pack, get a day pack, get out, stretch your legs, take a hike, take your time. Whatever your speed is you think you need to go, don't have a set schedule so much as take your time, breathe, look around. The last hike I went didn't travel actually that far. I don't even know if we put 2.5 miles in, but we saw a lot of wonderful things, and we're going to be revisiting some of those sites to film at. And part of that thing is you miss so much by not taking your time. And enjoy it, educate yourself on the fauna and the plant life. You're going to see much more wildlife if you breathe and take your time. And like the Al Morrow stories, people would come into his camps and watch the ground squirrels and the birds flee, because they would literally just rest in camp and climb and actually sit next to where the birds would perch on Al, because he kind of became one with that. And we need to practice that sensibility of like trying to be part of nature instead of being counterproductive to it. So I hope that everybody wasn't too bored by this. I hope everybody took this in and was a little, I'm going to drop everything off my lap now. But I hope everybody takes this kind of in the right light. I'm not criticizing everyone. I'm hoping we learn and educate ourselves and do better, because I'm always trying to do better. I'm always trying to watch the impact I have, and I don't want to point out other people's mistakes and old archival footage and stuff. They learned their lessons. But I think it's important to impart the message of be stewards of the land, but at the same time take the notion of I want to be part of this thing. I don't want to just be some roadside observer that kind of is detrimental to it. Become part of it, because if you breathe it in and you feel it, you're going to see so much more. And I think that was really the message I want to convey, because that's the people I knew, how they were. We could sit there for just so long staring off into a bush. the noises, the little things you can hear, the movement through the bushes. Even around us now, we've heard a few things. And I think it's an important thing to get ourselves back and kind of like connect with that. It's not sitting in an RV or having all this other equipment and stuff. It's just kind of bare bones as you can go going into something. And it doesn't have to be very far. I mean, go down First Water a mile, a half mile, and then just get off trail just a little bit off where you don't hear a soul for the next hour or so. And just quietly kind of absorb that area. You might be the first person that sat on that rock. And look at what you can absorb and what you can kind of like feel from what's kind of energizing around you. Maybe you'll find a vortex or a portal or something and end up somewhere else. Who knows? But I really, on a serious note, I wanted to kind of convey that. I miss our good friends. That's one thing that comes back, and I guess that's the thing with getting older, right? The mountains will be here. They won't remember our names. We won't, this impact of history, everything we do here, the books we've written, they're all going to go to dust. It's all going to just disappear eventually at one point in time, and the mountains will remain. And out of respect for that, I just hope everybody remembers that as like, let's leave a little less of an etch and not be so proud of coming out here and thinking we're conquering anything. This mountain behind me could not give a crap about what you accomplished out here, but just feel good about being part of it and connecting with the mountain. And if you can connect a little bit with the mountain, then you'll understand what I'm talking about and you'll feel it tenfold. So that's all I had to say today. Thank you everybody for always watching. I know this one wasn't as in historical context and so forth, but I'm not a nostalgic guy, but I kind of like the memories kind of crept up on me this week when I reflected of all the good people that are gone. So for Tom Collenborn and Rick Gwynn, Dan and Bob Hopper, Ron Eagle, Dave Chase, Jim Hatt, so many good people, and most recently Dave Cook, Dave Leach, all these great, wonderful people, and I'm leaving off a dozen or so more, Joe Roboto, and the times I've spent so many times in the mountains camping with. For all of them, let's always try to make sure we make the extra effort to preserve this thing and the memories so we can look across and at that campfire, remember them sitting there, and everything kind of remains the same for us, because that's about all we got. And as we breathe through this until we turn to dust, those memories are about all we have left of these people. So thank you so much for enjoying this, and I hope so, and joining me out here in the mountains today. I particularly like this. Couldn't have been a better day. Sun's shining. It's probably in the 70s. Light breeze. I hope the audio's good. We didn't have the lav mic today, so we're shooting it off a boom and with a remote with a Zoom here, and hopefully everything comes out. But hey, we take the criticisms too. We'll take the trolls. Trolls are people too. So there you go. Thank you so much again. I'm Wayne Tuttle. Remember that always. But remember, these are the Superstition Mountains, and this was Chasing Legends.